There are so many different effects you can get just with how you apply your pencil, which is why they're so much fun. So let's play a little more with what you can do by applying different pressures and layering. I'll also show you how to get clean edges. Smooth application, as we discussed with that first pencil stroke, is so important. So let me show you how to get a big area covered. You have this page in your class materials, so print it out and work along with me. Let's talk about smooth application. We're going to use this whole wide bar and try to get the same application all the way across. You have a choice of pencil strokes, the brush that we practiced before, or the long elliptical stroke. Try both, see what's more comfortable for you. Neither one is right or wrong. I'm a brusher, so I'm going to go ahead and do that one. My goal here is to keep going and gradually move my hand, rolling my pencil, and getting as smooth an application all the way across as I possibly can. You'll notice when you roll the pencil that it gets a little darker on the first few strokes. So practice lightening your touch just after the roll, and you can keep it a lot smoother. Now this will sort of have one tone all the way across. If I wanted this to be darker, I wouldn't press harder, I would just go again. And you'll see those little spaces between the lines fill in. Here's another tip. I can fill in even a little more by changing my angle just a little bit. I was going straight up and down. Now I'm just going to make a slight X. This is called hatching. It's subtle, but look how it fills in. Same pencil stroke, same pressure, and it just darkens where I've been before. So that's one way to get a smooth coverage and to get darker by adding more layers. I'm going to pick a different color and let's try to do the same thing but with pressure. We're going to work from dark to light. What that means is I'll start at about that 3 pressure. Remember that one where we tried to get a little bit of pigment onto the page? As I work my way across, I'm going to gradually lighten my pressure. I don't have to get all the way to the end on this one. I just want to be sure that I can get a really light application and a really dark application. That was all just shifting the pressure with the same pencil stroke. If I want to darken that, same story. I'll just go again. Just like with spray paint, with colored pencil, it's always better to do more light layers than one heavy layer. Now you'll notice that I am working outside the lines. It is okay to color outside the lines. It's more important to get full coverage than to stay within the lines. That'll come with practice. It's harder if I draw small, it's harder to go back and fill in those spaces than it would be to just remove the extra from outside the lines. Let's keep the same pencil and go a different direction. I'll start really light. I'm going to gradually add pressure without changing my pencil stroke or the speed until I'm pressing at about a 3 or 4 in the middle, and then lighten up again. I'm just creating some variety of pencil with just pressure. Now I have kind of an abrupt change here. Here I had a slow lead up to the dark. Easy enough. I can go back with a slightly lighter pressure and just feather it in. So you can really manipulate these pencil strokes to get the effects that you want. Another special effect we can get is fading one color into another. I'll start with this red and get lighter and lighter, and I'm going to end this about 2/3 way across. I have a medium tone down to a very light tone. I'll pick another color, how about blue, and do the same thing from the other side. This is a little more awkward for me. It's like writing backwards, but it's good practice. I'm going to lighten, 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 so I just cover part of that red. So here I've got a red fading into blue. This is really useful when you're working with landscapes and trying to do skies with different colors. I often draw flowers, so tulip petals that fade from a yellow into a violet. This is a really nice, effective look and easy to do. The next thing we'll do is layer two colors over each other. This is exciting. This is what we came for. We're blending colors. But why do we bother? We saw all those great colors in the big pencil box. Try to think of colored pencils as being more like paint. Straight from the tube, you get a flat color. When we layer, we're actually mixing colors. I want to show you a nice effect. I have a light layer of blue here. When I add some yellow, I get a green. Now that's just with two layers of pencil. If I keep going, I'll get a brighter green. So a layer of blue, a layer of yellow, another layer of blue, I get one effect. But the order of the colors makes a difference. Let's go the opposite way on the other side. I'll start with the yellow pencil. Now I'll add some blue. And I'll go back to yellow. They're the same two pencils in a different order, and I'll get a really different color. Can you see that it's lighter and brighter? There's more yellow than blue. We can really get a lot out of these colored pencils. If I start with one color, let's pick our red again, and work with a sharp point and a light layer. I think I'll do the loops this time and just skate across this little bar. I'll add some blue, and quickly my red color becomes a little bit more of a violet color. And then I'm going to add some yellow. I'm not sure what I'll get, but it'll be interesting. As I add these different colors, same pressure, same pencil point, I get a complex mix. If I look closely, I can see the yellow, I can see the blue, and I can see the red. But as I pull away, I get a very interesting mix. There's an advantage to mixing colors in that I can create whatever precise color I want. This is really where the magic happens, when we start layering these colors and get these nuanced changes. I want to show you a little bit more about how that works. So you can see here, I just colored with one green pencil. I'm working on a page of color recipes. You'll find this in your supplies as well. The solid green pencil gives me a very flat color. It's nice, but I made the same color here using a yellow, a blue, my other yellow, and my other blue. It's the same color, but it's so much more interesting. And that's what we want to work on. So let me show you how that happened. I started with a light layer of yellow. I know it's hard to see, just give me a second. I added a layer of blue. Notice how I'm using that same smooth fill stroke. I added my other yellow. I'm changing directions just a little bit to help smooth the look. It doesn't really look the same yet. When I add my other blue, I'm starting to get there. Color layering is a process, so it takes more than one layer to get where you want to go. Let me add just one more blue, and I think you'll see this color pop up. There it is. So I've made basically the same green, but I've made it from blues and yellows instead of just flat green. Here's that green color straight out of the pencil. I think my mix is much more interesting. It's similar, but it has a lot of nuance. I'll show you how to make a lot of interesting color mixes as we go along. Another thing that we think about with colored pencils is edges. It's very hard to keep a clean edge when we're making all of these pencil strokes. Let me show you a couple of tricks so that your drawings won't look hairy or blurry. I've drawn this little cherry, just a sketch, and you can see that the edges aren't clear. I'd like to show you two ways to clean them up. I'm going to work from the inside of the cherry rather than from the outside. Let me explain what that means. When I try to do a firm edge from the outside, I can't really see where my marks are going. But when I start inside of the cherry, I know exactly where I have to go to pick up all those little loose edges. I'm not worried at all about coloring in yet. I just want a clean edge. I now have this little halo, so I'll just use this cherry color to color up to my edge. Works like a charm. This side's still kind of hairy. This side looks nice and clean. I want to be careful of something. I don't want to press hard when I make this edge. Watch what happens when I do. This, well, the pencil point breaks. It becomes a coloring book line. That's the last thing I want. A cherry really doesn't have a firm edge. Let me show you another way to pick up a nice edge. I'm going to rotate the cherry so that I'm still working from the inside, and I've got a 2H graphite pencil this time. Graphite has an interesting property. I'm laying this down super light. Graphite is a different composition than colored pencil, and it forms a little fence. Colored pencil won't jump over that fence. Now I have a little bit of a dark line, but when I color up to and onto the line, I get that same crisp edge. So whether you're using a graphite pencil or a colored pencil, if you have a shiny, bright cherry, don't let it be hairy. So what are we going to draw? In the next lesson, I'll show you how to pick a good reference and work with your own photographs.